This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners of this podcast can save 20% off the first year of an annual subscription by visiting theathletic.com/DSP. Don't miss out on great Detroit sports coverage, in-depth features. Subscribe. Everybody here on the network is a subscriber to The Athletic. You can subscribe and save 20% off. Don't miss out. Visit theathletic.com/DSP.
Oh my God!
Welcome to this magical episode 29 of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. We've got a ton to talk about. We have a dumpster fire for a pay-per-view that occurred. We call that Backlash. Of course, we've got Raw. We've got Smackdown. We've got news and notes. Somebody takes the lead or extends the lead in calling the card, I should say. As always, rolling with me, he is my backup. He's my heavy. I'm Shawn Michaels. He's Diesel. The Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, Big Daddy Cool?
Man, I was so excited for Backlash. It looked like on the surface that the card was going to be awesome and that it could deliver, but because I fell asleep.
Sure as hell didn't.
I did not see Roman Reigns defeat Samoa Joe. I would have been pissed. And when you have a Backlash pay-per-view, that's not a pay-per-view worthy of going 3.5 hours long. Mm-hmm. You don't have the main event start at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. I fell asleep. I fell asleep basically after the Nakamura match. I was going in and out, and just watching it, I kind of caught most of Backlash, and I just thought that, okay, what sucked about it, in essence, when you review it?
All of it?
No. It started off amazing. Seth Rollins and The Miz.
That was the best match.
It was amazing.
It was 5-star.
5-star match, and then you're like, okay, here we go. When you see the likes of who's on the card, Daniel Bryan, Big Cass, Carmella, Charlotte, AJ Styles, Nakamura, Big Braun Strowman can handle his business. The rest of the card took a dump, and when you have a no DQ match with AJ Styles and Nakamura,
again,
you're intended to have a finish. You're supposed to have a finish in this match, a double count out. Come on, man.
We thought this was going to be the go home for AJ Styles and Nakamura, so we could move on to something else. And no, you don't get that. You get another no contest or another DQ ending. You get these cloudy, dirty endings where, like, can we just have some finality? Like, if you don't want to put Nakamura over, okay, cool. If you don't want to take the strap off AJ, that's fine too. You just need to do something here because the way these matches are ending, it's atrocious. It's not moving a storyline along. You're basically stuck in purgatory with this story right now, and I'm ready to move on. Like, you've lost my attention.
Yeah, I would grade the feud a C.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had this feud going on for 5 months. You want to continue to extend it, and you've lost the interest of the fans. That's not what you're supposed to do with these great feuds.
Do you realize 2-3 years ago in New Japan, this was one of the best feuds and one of the best matches in all of New Japan. And New Japan has put out some incredible product. And this, AJ Styles, Nakamura, was at the very tippy top. And here in WWE, it's been abysmal. It's been brutal. Let's start going through this card. Again, like you said, it wasn't very good, but it started hot. It started awesome. Crowd was really into it. Best match of the night, Seth Rollins defeats The Miz to retain the WWE Intercontinental Championship. I don't think we didn't think The Miz was going to win this because of the way everything has been split up because of the superstar shakeup. But this was an awesome match. These two guys, night in, night out, go out there and put on some of the best matches in WWE. I could make an argument with you right now. Your next Universal Champion should be Seth Rollins.
Yep, the Intercontinental title now is being shaped as the Wrestlers Podcast, the wrestler that is the best in ring on Raw, and right now by far it looks, and they've described it as an announce team, that Seth Rollins is making everything look easy. He's got a presence, he looks good, he's moving well, tells a great story, he's got a great moveset, you're invested in watching him. Seth Rollins' Miz was amazing, you could see that. all day, all night. I was impressed. And you're like, wow, the crowd's into it. They added the best flavor to that match. Seth Rollins gets over, and The Miz, you had an opportunity with all those, finishing moves that he tried to attempt on Seth Rollins, but in the end, Seth wins it as it should be. And like he said, I want to be the guy that's known as the workhorse here on Raw, and as he should be. He's the best. He is right now a main event caliber dude. He's back to that level. He's performing well, and you're just thankful that he's at this level, because after the Shield thing, you kind of, said to yourself, it could be a step back, but watching what he's doing now, he could hold the title till Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Keep that IC belt, have great feuds, elevate it. He's the perfect guy. He is the perfect wrestler to take the mantle from The Miz and handle his business every week on Monday Night Raw. He should be there every single week wrestling somebody.
You took the words right out of my mouth. From the Intercontinental belt getting passed from The Miz, who did an incredible job with that belt and helped elevate it, to Seth Rollins, awesome.
Yes.
Next, we have Nia Jax defeating Alexa Bliss. During this match, at some point, Alexa Bliss supposedly suffers a shoulder injury. There have been different rumors, different speculation that Bliss has been dealing with an injury, and that's why you really haven't seen her on TV lately. I haven't been able to find different reports to corroborate, so I haven't really brought this up on this podcast, but it sounds like she legitimately does have a shoulder injury, and this was a way to write her off, or at least give her some time to sit there and help heal a little bit.
Yeah, it was a decent match, but online it wasn't reviewed well. People were just like, look, the likes of a Nia Jax is kind of killing the women's revolution. You don't want her in there because she's not smooth. Her promos aren't the best. You're not a big fan of her. Most people online that follow us and follow the podcast weren't a fan of the match, and they felt like, you know what, Nia holding the title right now is just kind of put a dark cloud over the women's division on Monday Night Raw.
Well, it's kind of like this, right? And this is kind of where I see Braun Strowman. You've got a monster. You've helped create a monster. Your goal was to create a monster. So when you create a monster and you put a belt on them, how do you take that belt off of them? You have another monster come and do it? Or do you have, there's got to be a way, you have to figure a way out of this. This is, I think, part of the reason why you haven't seen Braun Strowman wearing the Universal Championship yet. Because once you put it on him, how do you get it off of him? How do you get it off of him and not hurt him? So now Nia Jax has the woman's belt for Raw. How do you get it off of her? Because like you said, she's not very smooth in the ring. She's a bigger girl, and she's a little bit cumbersome in there. She's a little bit heavy-footed. And all that being said, it's not like she's horrible. She's just not as, and I don't even know if athletic's the right word to use here, but she doesn't seem as polished. She's not as polished as, say, Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, Becky Lynch. Go through the list. Anybody. And it's just, I think a lot of it is, it's her size, and her size compared to all the other girls. It's different when you got two big behemoths going at it. They can just kind of bounce off each other and do things. When you've got a bigger person and a little person, the bigger person has to take care of the little person. And you can't be as athletic, and you can't bounce around the ring. It becomes very difficult.
Yep, now you go on, you see Jeff Hardy. He defeated Randy Orton. It was a decent match, but it kind of rang hollow to me. It's an older feud. You've seen it before. Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton. Right now, Randy Orton can be built up maybe to be a contender for the title way down later in the year, maybe in SummerSlam, Survivor Series. But right now, I do think that Randy Orton is kind of in a delicate place with his career because he's a main eventer. He's got good quality, but right now he's not involved in a meaningful story that has you interested, not interested. He's an attraction, but I think you got to take a clear direction. I think that's where a lot of people are complaining, is that it just kind of seemed like the writers and creative at this point in time has a bunch of wrestlers that they don't have a direction. You had this kind of era right now, post-WrestleMania, where you have a pay-per-view, you have the Greatest Royal Rumble, you have another pay-per-view, and you failed to kind of move significant pieces correctly. You've moved them, but in a way that has a lot of people angry in terms of using Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Nakamura. It seems like with clear direction, you could be at a great spot and on fire. And it just seemed like both of these shows, when you look at Raw and SmackDown, when we get to it, it just seemed like they wanted to just get away from Backlash because it was reviewed poorly. It wasn't that good. And the likes of a Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, kind of signify where they're at. It's like, you got good wrestlers, but where are you using them? Where are they going? It's not right. Daniel Bryan defeats Big Cass. That's awesome. I mean, you want to kind of book Daniel Bryan as a big underdog, but in the end, I guess it's correct.
It was kind of a sloppy match, though. And that's not really on Daniel.
I think you could have used Big Cass defeating Daniel Bryan. It's not going to hurt Daniel Bryan. You know what? The way they've been doing it is And it's played out because here's what they do. If they want the heel to get over, what they do is they have him lose, and then he destroys the winner.
Right.
Just have the heel win.
But didn't you get that on SmackDown? And we'll delve into it. But didn't you get exactly what you just said on SmackDown? But it benefited Rusev, not Big Cass.
Yes, exactly. And so, but then you would say to yourself, when you look at Rusev, he should be already in the main event picture.
Absolutely.
We're 6 weeks out.
Absolutely.
Too late.
Absolutely.
So you look at it and you say, in that situation, you want to elevate a feud. This is a feud. I don't know if they're going to continue it or how's it going to go out, maybe with an Extreme Rules match or Money in the Bank. But in this situation, you want to elevate Big Cass. You're reintroducing him, and then you have him tap out. Mm-hmm. That's I think that's the worst sign for a heel is to tap out. You look at it and you go, Big Cass, if you were to rewrite it, should have destroyed Daniel Bryan, and then Daniel comes out, on SmackDown is like, look, I want to take this challenge again. I'm not going out that way. You don't have a right to abuse me. And then you have Daniel Bryan eventually win 2 or 3 matches. I think Big Cass would have benefited from a win. Carmella defeats Charlotte. It was okay.
I thought the Icons were going to get involved for sure. We didn't have any of that.
Exactly.
So
Carmella wins. We all knew that.
Yeah.
AJ Nakamura was disaster, but it was a good match. AJ was aggressive.
Yes.
Great match. Terrible ending. Terrible.
Exactly. And again,
wasted.
Another bad ending. And how many of these are we going to have? Again, this is just like Roman Reigns, right? How many times can you keep rewriting the same story before it's whatever? At this point, everything AJ Styles Nakamura, to me, it's whatever. I don't even care. It's not a draw for me anymore. It was special, and then you ruined it. Same thing with Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Used to be a draw for me. I was like, okay, I'm invested. I want to see what happens. Now I don't care. I don't care. I could give 2 craps less. It's whatever. Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley defeat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They tease heat and friction between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I don't know why Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have to have this relationship where they're best friends, then they feud. They're best friends, and they feud. They're best friends, and they why can't they just be a cohesive tag team unit and then just go do your own thing, and then come back and be a cohesive tag team unit and then go do your own thing? Like they're best friends. They're like lovers and haters. I don't get it. Anyways, they had no chance, right? There was no way they were going to be Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. Just wasn't happening. And then we have our main event.
Oh, I slept through it. And
you didn't miss anything.
No, I did. I missed a whole bunch. You know why? Because people reviewed it and said Roman Reigns has been thrust into the main event level with some of the greatest athletes and performers in the world and has failed to live up to it. And the result is terrible. Look at it from this perspective. Samoa Joe is now on SmackDown. Roman Reigns is now on Raw. Okay, so if you have Samoa Joe win, it's not going to affect really anything with Roman Reigns because they're not going to fight each other for a year. You build up a monster in Samoa Joe with no credibility.
Yep.
How am I supposed to believe that Samoa Joe is serious when he gets into these feuds? He's a shit talker, he's serious, and then he goes to the matches and loses. That's not how you build a monster. Samoa Joe is better than Roman Reigns.
Samoa Joe is a killer.
Yes.
And if you're a smart wrestling fan, you know this. You know this because you bring it with you because you've seen him in TNA, you've seen him in ROH. He comes to WWE, and he's kind of a footnote.
It makes no sense because anybody with a creative mind would say, you know what, if you want to look 6 months out, this is a guy that should be next in line to take the belt off of AJ. It should be AJ and Samoa Joe with the feud and the potential for great matchups. So how do you make him believable by having him lose to Roman Reigns? And people are now exploring and analyzing the way that WWE is ramming Roman Reigns down our throat. He's not a face. He's a guy that's having poor promos. He's not taking the ball and running with it. He's a guy that's now involved in feuds with some of the greatest athletes of his generation, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, the best of the best. And you got this guy who doesn't belong. And you know what fans are doing now? They're just leaving.
Yep.
They are now
they got up in the middle of that match and walked
left.
out.
I slept through it. I was like, 11 o'clock's too late.
I want you to remember everything you just said because when we get into Raw, when we get to the end of it, before we go to SmackDown, I have a question for you that needs to be answered.
You got it. Let's hit Raw, baby.
Let's look at calling the card real quick before we get to Raw.
Oh, I want to skip over that.
So Jock got 7 out of 8 right, while Jock got 6 out of 8.
We both did good.
So we both
did
really, really good. We both missed on all of our bonus points, though. If you would have got 2 bonus points, we'd have been tied, and it would have been a different story. In the end, I get the nod. I extend my lead 5 to 3.5.
Good for you.
All right, let's go to Raw. Overall, what'd you think of Raw?
Raw was tough, man. Raw was a situation where you look at it and you go, okay, they tried to move away from Backlash as soon as possible. Now we go right into, and I don't understand maybe the reason why they just came out and said, look, WWE just keeps on rolling. Like, would you just want to...
Oh, my God, they just kept, like, throwing that on top of you. Like every time you turned around, if I had to hear Michael Cole talk about it more and more, oh my, we have this. Yeah. You know what? Maybe you need to take a break. 52 weeks a year, we're performing. Okay, cool, bro. We get it.
So thank you. You announced that it's Money in the Bank season. Okay, thank you for that. I liked the intro. I liked Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens fighting it out. I thought that it was really cool, really good match. You have the right guy win, and I had no problem with the opening. Overall, my thoughts on Raw was it was great to DVR through it. I DVR'd it and I just blew through it. It was okay, but it really could have been a lot better had you done a lot of different things. But in the end, I am invested in a couple of their characters in terms of Finn Balor. I'm invested in Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. I'm invested in seeing how they're going to misuse Bobby Lashley in terms of using him for a sit-down promo. I was like, that wasn't what I said last time. That's not what I said.
It's not good. Another good match on Raw. We had a women's three-way qualifier for Money in the Bank. And Ember Moon ends up pinning Ruby
I like her
Riott.
entrance. I like her music entrance. It's really good.
She's solid. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. And like you said, we then transitioned to this sit-down promo with Bobby Lashley. And I feel like WWE sees Bobby Lashley the way they used to have Bobby Lashley. Do you know what I'm saying? Bobby Lashley's not good in this role, in the WWE role. Bobby Lashley is better in the TNA role that he was. In TNA, he was a killer. He was aggressive. He was in your face. Bobby Lashley was a great heel in TNA because Bobby Lashley talked about Bobby Lashley.
Yes.
He would tell you about how Bobby Lashley is the best in the business and how he is awesome at everything he does. WWE has him in this face role. I don't know if it's not suited for him or if he's uncomfortable in it, but everything that comes out of his mouth, you don't believe it. It doesn't sound authentic, and that's an issue. And then the way that they book him, there's no reason Bobby Lashley needs to be in a tag team with Braun Strowman.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason for it. He should be out there murdering people. He should be getting the same treatment Braun Strowman got. Go kill like 9 jobbers and then just go obliterate some mid-card superstar. Mm-hmm. That's what you got to do with the guy, and you're not doing it.
What did you make of Bobby Roode? I mean, I can't get the vision of him dancing with No Way Jose out of my mind. I'm like, that's not how I want to see Bobby Roode.
No.
I like Elias. I think he's a great character, but it's nice to see Bobby Roode get a win. That was good.
I don't know, man.
What do you think? It's not used right? It doesn't sit well with you, does it?
No, because I feel like Bobby Roode's going to get lost in the shuffle. He's going to be one of those superstars where he came in really hot. Everybody was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. And they miscast him. And now he's going to get lost in the shuffle. He'll become some mid-card guy who'll end up falling down to the lower mid-card guy when he could be a main event talent.
See, I was annoyed with the constant Elias asking JoJo to say, this is Elias, and then another person would come out and interrupt, and another person would come and interrupt, and then finally Bobby Roode was there, and he handled his business, and then he started dancing with No Way Jose. I'm just like, Bobby Roode is an assassin. I mean, I know you got the glorious musical entrance. Now you want to move him towards the role of a Samoa Joe on Raw, which is badass promos. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm not going to be dancing with No Way Jose. No Way Jose needs to be on the bottom of the card.
He's
and things
your
like
American
that.
ass kicker. That's who he is.
He needs a badass.
He like Samoa Joe is like your Samoan ass kicker. Bobby Roode's your American ass kicker.
I just think
he's the guy who shows up with a fucking truck.
You got to start pushing the dial.
He's a guy who shows up with a truck and a bottle of beer in his hand, and he puts foots to butts.
I just feel like when you're looking at creative in these meetings, sometimes you got to say we can move up somebody and elevate him. And so the likes of a Baron Corbin, the likes of a Bobby Roode, elevate them.
Yes.
Elevate them and handle your business instead of the likes of who are those that are being elevated. Like Mojo Rawley, I did not need to see. It was totally unbelievable.
I didn't understand that.
I was not happy when he
I was
came
like,
out.
why is he on
I was like,
Raw?
oh.
Yeah. I was like, somebody, anybody else? Anybody else.
Right, exactly. Anybody else.
Anybody.
And that's his first match, and almost nobody was like, who's that? It was almost like, who's that? It was a good match, but nobody believed that he was going to, defeat Seth Rollins. But Seth Rollins can have a good match with anybody. That's how good it was. He made Mojo Rawley believable, but that's not how you introduce Mojo Rawley. You got to have him in some jobber matches early on. It's okay to have a couple guys fight jobber matches that go 5-6 minutes that are decent. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. In the end, we have our main event. Finn Balor beats Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns to qualify for Money in the Bank. Now, this was a really, really good match.
Very solid.
I enjoyed it. I liked how Finn Balor and Sami Zayn teamed up. They ended up beating up Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes from out of nowhere.
I love the introduction of Jinder Mahal trying to get in on it, and earlier in the show, he was trying to get in on Money in the Bank by saying, look, I was brought here to be somebody who's prominent, and that's not my role. And then you had Angle standing up to him. That was fun.
Yes.
I liked the fact that he had to fight Chad Gable and actually showed some dominance and get the win there. So that was kind of a moment I liked. But yeah, it makes you kind of go, okay, we got to continue to discuss Roman Reigns. I mean, has WWE lost faith in him?
And that's
Where's the
my
next
question
story
for you.
Where's the next story go?
That's where I wanted to gear this part of the Raw conversation, because at this moment in time, I believe WWE has lost faith in Roman. And
You have to, yeah.
If you look at the way he's been booked lately, if they really believed in him, he'd have won the strap at either the greatest Royal Rumble ever or WrestleMania. And you got it at neither. He then gets a meaningless win over Samoa Joe in a match that probably does more harm for Joe than it does for Roman Reigns. I just don't understand what WWE is doing. They've given him shot after shot after shot, but they still fail to put the belt on him. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? This is the handpicked guy by Vince McMahon. This is the one guy to come out of the Shield. He's the guy who wasn't even supposed to be in the Shield. Vince was like, I like that guy. Give me the big guy who looks Samoan. Give me him. Oh, that's The Rock's cousin? Yeah, I want him. Put him in the Shield. Let's go with him. And then the Shield breaks up, and that's Vince's dude. And yet you can't get him over.
At this point, we need proof that Roman's related to The Rock, because there ain't no semblance of personality coming out of Roman Reigns. I mean, I don't care. You've been given the microphone. You've been given the ball. How do you run with it that way? Your promos are stale. Your promos are not exciting me. You've been thrust into this position for the better part of 2 years. How do you not run with it? You've been given this opportunity. At this point in time, you should just go into Vince's office and say, look, I'll just got to be a heel. Stop trying to push me as the guy, because how many more excuses are they going to make? Sorry, fans. I think pretty soon they're going to be at a place where they just go, fans, we need you to cheer Roman Reigns, because that's what we want. Please stop booing him. He is what's called a fit. They may just break character and they may break kayfabe and just be like, look, make him, just go out there and cheer for him. Please do something.
At what point does WWE start putting plants in the front rows? So when Roman Reigns come out, people lose their crap and cheer for him.
Exactly.
I mean, I can see that happening.
So it's just a disaster. And where do you go from here? You can't have him fight Seth Rollins. Where do you go from here? I would say what needs to happen, and what he would benefit from, is just 2 months, have a fake injury, storyline injury, and you rebrand him. Take him off TV, and you rebrand him. You come back. So what do people want right now? What do people want right now? They probably would say they want Braun Strowman to be the Universal Champion.
Yes.
You hype up Braun Strowman. You have the match that people want at SummerSlam. You take him off television from July. You take Roman Reigns off television from mid-June until SummerSlam, and you have the match, and it's right there. And boom, I think you could renew that feud in a big way, where you have Braun Strowman just about to win the title. He's a 1-2-3 away. Who comes back? Roman Reigns interferes in that match. Brock Lesnar retains the title, and Braun Strowman goes apeshit crazy. And now you have the finality of that feud, where you have a hot heel in Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman just destroy him, and then you go on from there, and Roman Reigns can be the heel that everybody needs him to be. But at this point in time, it's not right the way they've used him, and they've ruined basically a better part of his career. And
dude, they haven't just
needs
ruined
refresh.
his career. They've ruined other guys'
and
careers,
guess what?
because they've been fodder for him.
You can't have in your main events of big events, Greatest Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, people going, this is awful. You got to tell them, look, you have to wrestle. You have to evolve your career. Either, look, you can't be middle of the road, basically. They have to sit him down and say, look, you can't be a middle of the road wrestler or a middle of the road promo guy. Pick one. What do you want to be? Do you want to be Hulk Hogan, where you get off some great sayings like a Steve Austin and you have people remember you for your words? Or you got to get your ass back to that performance center and figure out a moveset that will get you over, because right now being a B-minus wrestler with the position we put you in is not acceptable.
A B-minus wrestler with a C-minus promo. It's not good.
No, not good. You got to rebrand them. Something has to change.
Yep. Let's move to SmackDown now. Now with SmackDown,
concise and clear,
yes.
Perfect vision. I liked it.
Overall, I think you had two different shows here between Raw and SmackDown. I think Raw went more for quantity, whereas SmackDown went for quality.
Yes.
And you've seen that with the matches.
Yes.
It kicks off, SmackDown really kicks off with The Miz and Jeff Hardy. It was a really, really good match. Miz wins to qualify for Money in the Bank. And this is a match where you have a guy in Jeff Hardy who's over. He has to go do the job to get another guy over. And this is how you do it. This is an awesome match. Jeff Hardy can lose this match and not lose any steam. And it puts Miz in the Money in the Bank, and it gives him an interesting story going forward, while Jeff gets to hold the U.S. Championship. It done perfectly. Awesome.
But Jeff Hardy's slow. Here's a problem when you look at it, what he's doing in the ring. It was a situation where you have a good matchup. You have The Miz and Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy kind of needs to kind of go in the background. He needs to be opening match, but versus lesser opponents, people trying to come up, trying to knock Jeff Hardy off because he looks slow in the match. He's not on the level of The Miz. If you just kind of rewatch it, just kind of look at the pacing. Jeff Hardy, nearing 40 years old, is not going full bore, whether it be due to injury or whatever. He's trying to conserve his time with all the schedule and things like that. He looks markedly slower than the big guys at that position.
I'll have to keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out.
And look for that. Charlotte ends up submitting to Peyton Royce. This was another solid match, another really good match. I didn't expect Charlotte to lose this. But again, another quality match. It took up a large chunk of time. It was done well. I'm really into the Iconics. I think they're fun. I like their promos.
Yes.
I find where Charlotte's at in her career right now to be very interesting. We all know at some point she's going to get the title back, and she deserves it. But for right now, let Carmella play and let her be champion. You've got the Iconics coming in and doing their thing. I really enjoy where these women are. I don't enjoy where Becky Lynch is at. Becky Lynch ended up getting rolled up for a loss.
Yep.
I wasn't happy about that. It's what it is. Moving to the main event. Rusev ends up beating Daniel Bryan to qualify for Money in the Bank. Now, this is what we were talking about with the Daniel Bryan Big Cass match.
Yes.
So Bryan loses and helps put Rusev over. Again, an established star doing a job to help elevate another star.
Yeah.
Rusev should be in the title hunt at this time, should probably have a belt on him, does not.
And I think you see that Daniel Bryan's road to the title is going to be long, and that's what you want to do. That's his story, which is it's not going to be easy. Hard road. That's his story. You see it clearly.
You could do it with Roman Reigns, and it would get over.
Yes.
If you sat there and you forced him to work for it instead of just giving him the opportunities, people would turn around and they would cheer for him like you want.
Let's be creative real fast. What's the best way to use heel Roman Reigns? What is it? Affect Braun Strowman? Is it destroy? Is it NWO style? Is it somebody that actually wins the U.S. title and is like, screw you guys, boo me all you want? Like here, I know that acknowledge what the fans did. You want to leave me in the middle of this ring? Screw you guys. I don't care. I'm going to now hold the title and then defeat all the faces and be the. I mean, that's the way I would look at it. Is like, okay, you know what? It's time. If we don't do this, you know what? You have a match. Maybe Braun is the champion after SummerSlam. At Survivor Series, the next opponent is Roman Reigns, and he takes the belt and then just goes through and just is like does a heel turn and is like, look, you booed me all this time. Here I am, and you just roll with it. You continue with it, but just make him a heel.
I think the best way to do it, all right, would be you take him off TV for, like you said, 2 months, okay? Take him off TV for a little bit. You have him come back after SummerSlam, the Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam, all right? So you're going to basically take him off the next couple weeks. He's not at Money in the Bank. It's what
I got it. I got the idea.
Okay.
I got the money.
So wait,
I'm printing the money.
Okay, hold on. So you take him off TV. Braun Strowman ends up going on to beat Brock Lesnar for the championship, right? All right. Roman comes back that Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam, and somehow he gets involved in Braun's match. Braun has a match, whether it be with Lesnar or whoever, and Roman lays out both these cats. Lays out both of them, picks up the championship belt, and just walks out.
Okay.
Next week, he comes back. All right. Next Monday night, he comes back on, still with the belt. He hasn't relinquished it, hasn't given it up. And he basically cuts the heel promo of all heel promos. Screw you guys. I'm doing what I want. I've come for my belt. I take what I want. You want some, come get some. And you just go with that.
I think that's it. I'm putting my application in for a writer because I'm printing money right now. I'm printing money right now. Here it is.
You've had some good fantasy booking.
Okay, here it is right now. Everybody line up, get excited because this is what everybody's wanted. This is what will take the WWE. This probably will be the predominant storyline in the WWE for the next maybe 2 years. You got, maybe you could have Roman Reigns, have a storyline injury, things like that. Braun Strowman's the champion. Boom, boom, boom. You have a run-in. John Cena, Roman Reigns, the two guys that the WWE universe hate the most, pair them up. They run roughshod throughout WWE. They're the predominant storyline. They're the badass heels in WWE on Monday Night Raw, running roughshod.
But the issue is John Cena's not there half the time.
But he's the mentor. He's the guy. Hey, you got to do what you got to do to print some money.
John Cena's not a heel.
He's going to be a heel. That's the whole point. John Cena comes back, and you fuel finally the heel, John Cena, with the heel, Roman Reigns, and you now have a predominant storyline that I'd be interested in. Maybe pair him up with Nikki Bella or some badass chick. Someone, that'd be cool. I think that's probably the way that you would excite the fans, or at least get people talking, where they run roughshod and they just handle business.
Could you give Roman Reigns
Those two guys have to work together.
Somebody to speak for him? Could you give him a valet who does most of his talking? I mean, I don't need to hear him anymore.
Here we go. Paul Heyman, guys.
Yeah, but I don't think that works at this point.
Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Roman Reigns.
I don't think it works at this point. I'd give him some hot chick. Like, give him some chick who's
maybe
cute
not with
and
John
talk.
Cena, but a heel dude that will come in, or you turn Braun Strowman heel and they pair up. Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. You got to.
I don't want to see that either.
I'm telling you, my idea is money.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I've hated all of it so far.
You've poo-pooed John Cena being heel. I feel like that would invigorate his career.
I would love John Cena to be heel. I think it would be great because I think he can cut awesome. I think he can cut awesome promos as a heel. But
all right, you know what?
But
all right, maybe
he's not there half the time. So you want to pair him with a full-time guy? No, you know what? Logistically, it wouldn't work.
Here's what has to happen. Roman Reigns has to be in a faction, but just of two people. Maybe with Finn Balor, maybe with AJ Styles, maybe with Nakamura. You just have to have somebody else.
Oh, great. Him and Nakamura. Nobody can talk.
Exactly.
It would be the worst promo session ever.
Him and Nakamura.
Let's have those guys come out and blink hard.
Paul Heyman. This faction has to be led by Paul Heyman. That's it. You got to put Paul Heyman back to work.
Think about this for next week.
Okay, we'll continue it. You can continue now. I put my idea to print money.
Yeah.
I'm talking about printing money.
Printing money.
That's I think we'll print money.
Which show is better? I think hands
Smackdown.
down Smackdown.
No doubt about it.
All right.
All right, hit me with the news and notes for the week.
Raw leads 20-17. News and notes. So we were discussing before the show. There is a rumor going around that John Cena is banging Carmella. That has been laid to rest. That is not true. But boy, would that be hot to see or what? Because John Cena is a good-looking dude. I don't care what you say. And Carmella's hot. I mean, she wears a lot of cake on her face, but
you could seg into a big cast John Cena feud.
You could baby batter it for sure. All right. Kevin Owens signs a 5-year extension with WWE. Also, it sounds like Corey Graves has a little bit of heat in WWE. It sounds like he believes he is better than he is, and it's rubbing people the wrong way. Biggest news that happened late last week. Chris Jericho showed up in New Japan, and they're going to now proceed with this match with Naito.
I like the mask that he wore. I like that.
My
that was
God,
sweet,
it was
huh?
awesome. Yeah, I hate how he struggled to get it off, though.
Yeah.
It's believed that Y2J and New Japan came to an agreement on his compensation after New Japan had some sluggish ticket sales for their next show in America. So Y2J had gone on air and said, look, they have to compensate me accordingly. I'm a big deal. I helped them sell out this show. They need to pay me. And I don't know if it was just him being a heel in real life or if it was legit, but New Japan has had some sluggish ticket sales here in America, and this will help reinvigorate those. Also, it sounds like Lesnar will not compete in Money in the Bank. However, if he does, the idea being tossed around right now is Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar for your WWE Universal Championship. And that would make all the sense in the world because Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar still have unfinished business because Lesnar never actually beat Strowman in that three-way with Kane involved. Kane was the one who took the pin. So it would be interesting, and this could be a way you could get the belt off of Lesnar, but it doesn't sound like Lesnar is going to be at Money in the Bank.
Follow Detroit Podcast during all big wrestling events. My boy Kenny hooked it up. Saturday, May 12th, Royal Oak. I'm going to the Ring of Honor show.
Are you?
Yes, I'm going. Kenny hooked it up as a part of his TV. I guess they did some promotion, so we got some tickets,
well,
maybe
yeah,
some backstage action. Yeah, so we got some tickets, I think some backstage action, so we'll be all up in there trying to watch some Ring of Honor and maybe get to know some of the fellas, and hopefully the matches are really good. And the way Royal Oak is set up, it's really intimate and not a lot of seats, so you can be right on top of the action. I can't wait to see it.
Dude, if Marty Scurll's there, can you get a picture with him or of him?
Okay.
Oh my God, I love Marty Scurll. Marty Scurll in his penguin mask.
Okay, I'll look at the card, definitely.
Be great.
Message us during any event at Detroit Podcast. If you're around and you go to any Comic-Cons or anything like that with any wrestlers, we definitely love wrestling. And also, if you're a big fan of wrestling, another great podcast besides ours, Dennis Farrell. He's got a wrestling network going on. Follow him at Dennis77 Farrell. He's the godfather of our network, and he's doing great things with the likes of James Ellsworth, Petey Williams from Impact. Good stuff there. Follow Dennis. He does a great wrestling podcast. Whew, very good. I listen to it every week.
Also, check out Breaking Down the Ring podcast. Outstanding. The most inappropriate wrestling podcast ever.
On the Podcast Detroit Network every Wednesday, 9 o'clock live. You can check them out, BDRcast, for everything on social media. BDRcast, Mikey and the crew, they do awesome work as well.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get out of here, cuz. See you later.
Peace.
Oh